All right, quick hit for you. Xavier Worthy had a scary moment in Brazil when his shoulder popped out, and for a second we all braced for the worst. The good news, and I mean genuinely good, is that less than a week after that dislocation, he was back on the practice field in a limited role. You saw him moving, catching passes and wearing extra padding on that shoulder. That's not nothing. Here's what matters right now. First, limited practice doesn't mean full go. It means the team got him out. There to test the shoulder, get him some reps, and see how he responds under controlled contact. That's huge progress from a scene where trainers looked legitimately concerned. Second, reporters noted the padding and that he wasn't doing everything. They specifically listed him as limited on Thursday, which makes a Sunday return unlikely. So don't bank on him for this weekend's game against the Eagles. You also heard Andy Reid say the team didn't think surgery was immediately necessary, and that he probably wouldn't go on IR. That's a positive tone from the coaching staff. But it isn't a full medical guarantee. Keep in mind the team can still place him on IR later, if needed. But the current read, no IR and active rehab, suggests the Chiefs see a near-term return as realistic. If they thought the timeline was months, IR would be the simple roster move. Now let's be practical. Worthy is a smaller, speed-based receiver. When a shoulder pops out, it can keep nagging all year, unless it's surgically stabilized. So what we're likely seeing is a plan to protect him with padding, limit contact snaps, and use speed packages when necessary until the shoulder is fully healed, or until the team decides on off-season surgery. That's probably what the coaching staff is thinking, and it explains why he was back in a controlled role so quickly. Here's where I want to hear from you. Do you think Worthy plays this Sunday? Drop a comment, yes or no. While you type that, hit the like button. If you're glad he's back in practice, and if you're new here, please subscribe. We're pushing for 5,000 subscribers, and your click helps more than you might think. Ring the bell so you don't miss updates as the week unfolds. Final thought for this section: even though this is a great sight, Worthy moving, catching, and wearing that brace, don't be surprised if the Chiefs hold him out of the game to be safe. I'd pencil him in as probable to miss Sunday, but trending toward a Week 3 return, assuming no setbacks. That said, tell me below how long you think he'll be out. 1 week, 2 to 4 weeks, or a month plus? Your vote helps shape the comments section and gives us a real sense of what Chiefs Kingdom thinks. Now let's step back and talk about what this actually means for the receiver room. Because while the news on Xavier Worthy is encouraging, it doesn't erase the fact that Kansas City is dealing with a thin wideout group right now. Jalen Royals is still battling that knee tendonitis, and he hasn't been practicing either. From everything reporters have said, it sounds very doubtful that he plays against Philadelphia. That leaves Patrick Mahomes with fewer reliable options on the outside, and Andy Reid has some tough decisions to make. So, what does the rotation look like without both Royals and Worthy? First, you can expect Hollywood Brown to shoulder a big portion of the outside snaps. Rashee Rice is still the go-to underneath target and safety blanket in the intermediate game. Sky Moore might see a bump in usage, and the coaching staff could lean on Justin Watson for steady snaps on the perimeter. Don't be surprised if they also expand the workload for guys like Kadarius Toney in gadget looks, or even sprinkle in more 2 tight end sets with Travis Kelce and Noah Gray to compensate. When you lose speed on the boundary, you have to get creative in other areas. And let's not forget, the Chiefs know how to scheme around temporary absences. If there's any coach in the league who can build a game plan around missing wideouts, it's Andy Reid. He's not going to throw Mahomes out there without a plan to spread the ball. Expect quick passes, heavy use of Kelce, and designed plays that make the defense respect motion and misdirection. The Eagles' pass rush is no joke, so a quicker game script might actually suit Kansas City this week anyway. Now here's the big point that fans should keep in mind. Neither Worthy nor Royals has been placed on IR. That's a huge clue. If the Chiefs believed either guy was out 4 or more weeks, they'd make that roster move immediately. The fact that they haven't tells you the coaching staff thinks both are close, Royals probably needs one more week of rest. Worthy is trending toward week 3 with a brace. And suddenly the WR depth looks a lot healthier when both are back. That's why the IR decision is so important. It signals the expectation inside the building. But for this week, expect the Eagles' game plan to focus on slowing Brown and Kels, with the rest of the room asked to step up in complementary roles. It's not ideal, but it's manageable. The Chiefs have weathered worse stretches, and as long as Mahomes is upright, you always have a chance. I want to hear from you on this one. Which backup receiver do you trust the most right now to step up if Worthy and Royals are both out? Drop a name in the comments. Is it Sky Moore, Justin Watson, maybe Tony? Your take matters, and I'll be checking those responses. And if you're watching right now and haven't hit subscribe yet, take a second to do it. We're grinding to get to 5,000 subscribers, and every single one of you makes a difference. Hit the like button too. It pushes the video out to more Chiefs fans like you. Up next, we'll talk long term. How risky is it to let Worthy play through this injury? Could surgery still happen down the road? And how do the Chiefs balance protecting him for the playoffs while still needing him in September? Stick with me, because that's where we're heading next. So here's where things get really interesting. The long-term outlook for Xavier Worthy, because yes, we're celebrating that he's back on the practice field so quickly, but this is not the kind of injury that simply disappears. When a shoulder dislocates, especially for a player as lean and speed-focused as Worthy, it usually means you're dealing with instability for the rest of the season. That's why so many analysts immediately wondered if surgery would be required. Right now, the Chiefs medical staff and Andy Reid are saying no, surgery is necessary. That's good news, but it's also a bit of a gamble. What they're banking on is that with extra padding, limited contact in practice, and smart usage on Sundays, Worthy can make it through the season without the shoulder popping out again. If it does reoccur, then surgery might not wait until the offseason. But the plan right now seems to be brace it up, play him carefully, and reevaluate after 2025. We've seen this approach before. Hollywood Brown last year had a similar issue, fell awkwardly, required surgery, and ended up missing nearly the entire season. The Chiefs are hoping to avoid that kind of repeat. Worthy isn't a big-bodied receiver at around 170 pounds. Every collision can be a risk. The staff will likely limit the kinds of routes that expose him to heavy hits over the middle. Expect to see him in more space, where his speed is the weapon, rather than sending him into constant traffic. This raises a question. Is it better to risk playing him at less than 100%? Or hold him out longer to protect his future? The Chiefs are clearly leaning toward playing him sooner. Why? Because this is a win-now team, with Mahomes, Kels, and a defense playing at a high level. Every game matters in the chase for the AFC's top seed. Having Worthy on the field, even at 80%, stretches defenses and changes how opponents play coverage. That's the competitive edge. Kansas City doesn't want to sacrifice if they don't have to. Still, you can't ignore the risk. Playing through this kind of injury could mean Worthy is dealing with shoulder pain and weakness all season. It could limit his ability to fully extend or take contact. And if he takes one wrong hit, it could set him back weeks. That's why you'll probably see the coaching staff keep his snap count in check at first, slowly increasing as they see how his body holds up. Think of it as managing an asset. For the long haul, they need him in December and January more than they need him in September. Here's where I'll put it back to you. Should the Chiefs be cautious and shut Worthy down if there's any doubt? Or do you want him out there as soon as possible, even if he's not 100%? Drop a simple yes or no in the comments. I'm curious to see how you balance risk versus reward. And while you're down there, make sure you hit subscribe. We're working toward 5,000 subscribers, and the faster we get there, the faster we can keep bringing you these deep dive updates every week. Smash the like button too. It really does push the video out to more of Chiefs Kingdom. Coming up in our final chapter, we'll shift gears and talk about what to watch this week. which reports matter most, what the game day inactive list will tell us, and how you should frame expectations as a fan. Stick around, because that's where we'll wrap this all together. All right, let's close this out by looking at what you should be watching this week as the Chiefs get ready to face the Eagles. Because even though we've talked about the injury updates, the depth chart, and the long-term risks, there are still a few key checkpoints that will tell us how close Xavier Worthy really is to suiting up. First, Friday's practice report. That's the big one. If Worthy goes from limited to full participant, that would be a huge step and could push him into a questionable but possible status for Sunday. If he stays limited, it almost guarantees the Chiefs will hold him out against Philly. The same goes for Jalen Royals, though. At this point, all signs say the team will stay cautious and keep him on the sidelines for another week. Second, the official game day inactive list. Remember, teams have to declare 7 players inactive before kickoff. If Worthy is listed, don't panic. That's what we expect. But if somehow he's active, then it means the team believes he can contribute in a limited role. Pay close attention to those lists, because they'll be the final word before kickoff. Third, watch the rotation of the receivers who do play. This game will show us how Andy Reid and Matt Nagy plan to manage life without Worthy and Royals in the short term. Do they lean heavily on Brown and Rice? Do they trust Sky Moore with more responsibility? Do they get creative with Tony? Or does Justin Watson log most of the steady reps? Sunday will give us a preview of how the Chiefs would manage if Worthy's recovery takes longer than expected. Now, here's the fan takeaway. The Chiefs dodged a bullet. We all feared season-ending surgery when that shoulder popped out. Instead, Worthy is practicing less than a week later. Even if he doesn't play against the Eagles, this is a win. It means your first-round pick is likely back on the field within a couple of weeks. Combine that with Royals trending in the same direction, and this offense should look a lot more dangerous by week 3 or 4. That's the silver lining to keep in mind. Before we wrap, I want to know, what's your confidence level that Worthy is back by week 3 against the Giants? Drop your answer in the comments. And let's make this simple. Do you think he plays in week 3? Yes or no? I'll be looking for those votes down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this breakdown, help us out. Hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Total Chiefs News. We're aiming for 5,000 subscribers, and your support helps us reach more Chiefs fans just like you. Don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss the latest updates all season long. That's it for today's script. Xavier Worthy's fast return to practice is a big win. Royals is on the mend, and the Chiefs' depth is holding strong. The season is long, but Kansas City looks like it dodged a disaster.